or their ethnicity, and this is usually accompanied with the specific group being the minority in this, whatever space it is, whether it's a country or a place of residence or whatever.
All right. Thank you, Chad. Can we please have Milani? May you please answer, what is racism to you? Oh, wait. You're muted, Milani.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
For me, simply racism is basically just discrimination, prejudice, or antagonism on somebody based solely on their color of skin. That's what I believe racism to be.
Thank you. Rea, can you please answer that? Don't forget to unmute yourself.
I feel like racism goes beyond the dictionary definition of just like discriminating or being prejudiced against like a person of specific color. So what I found out was that racism has three things. It has like three categories. Well, not categories, but like building blocks to make up like the whole definition of racism. So it's based on history, power, and the system. So we already know history, like racism throughout history, like, you know, with apartheid and slavery and all this kinds of stuff, and colonialism and all of that. So that's history. And power, if you look at the top 10 most powerful people in the world, I guarantee you at least 6 of them, majority of them are white. So that's history, power, and the system. It's not just with systemic racism, it's not just what we see on the news in the US with Black people being scrutinized by the police. It can go from that to a really wide variety, like a spectrum, from police brutality to me not getting a job at a company that I want because of my skin or because of my hair or because of my name is more difficult to pronounce. So yeah, it goes way beyond the simple dictionary definition of what racism is. And that's why I think, you know, it's not very simple to define if people of color can be racist or not, you know? Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Rea. We'll move on to Micayla. You're muted. Don't forget that you're muted.
Okay, I'm not muted anymore. Am I answering the same question?
Yes. What is racism?
I think everybody covered it pretty well. It's basically just the discrimination against a person or like a group of people based on their ethnicity or like what race they associate themselves with. I feel like it's also just unnecessary like slurs and things people say to a specific group because of stereotypes that have built up over, you know, the years and stuff.
All right. Thank you, Micayla. Thabo, what is your definition of racism? We can't hear you, Thabo. Still nothing. Oh, well, for me. Okay, wait, I'm going to mute you. Okay. Okay, now try unmuting. Sorry about that. Can you guys hear Thabo? Thabo, we can't hear you. Seems that everyone can't hear you. You're muted. Did he get okay? Moving swiftly along. Okay, the second question, we'll just wait for Thabo to reconnect. All right, then the second question goes to Micayla. Right. What is your definition of a Black person? Micayla, what can you tell us about that? Well, let me unmute you. Unmute, Micayla.
Okay. Am I there? Can you hear me?
We can
Okay.
hear you.
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, okay, we can hear you, Thabo.
Can you guys
There
hear
go.
me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, I had to leave and come back. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know what happened, but
Okay.
yeah. All right.
You can let him.
Thank
You can let
Sisa.
him answer, and then
Alright.
I'll answer the second one. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Okay, so basically what racism is to me is discrimination, prejudice towards another person, but also with power, some sort of power, whether that power be institutionalized, economic, or political. It has to be some form of power for it to be racism. For me, that's how I see it.
For you.
It's discrimination, prejudice, and some form of power.
All right. All right. Okay. Thank you. Some form of power. All right. Okay. So, Thabo, while you were gone, we asked Micayla, what is the definition of a Black person?
Mm.
Okay, so I feel like a lot of people's answers will differ because I asked a few different people and they all had different answers. So I'm just gonna like say what I feel.
Yes, you
I feel like you are Black. You can identify as a Black person if one of your parents is Black, like if it's a direct bloodline thing.
All right.
With regards to like physical attributes of seeing a Black person, I feel like both your parents are Black, then you're Black, but also there's a very thin line because people wouldn't assume that I'm Black, but one of my parents is. So it's weird because it's like, are both your parents Black and you look Black, or are you Black if one of your parents is Black? And that's what I believe. You can identify as a Black person if one of your parents is Black, because it's not like it's culture, like it's not like that stuff. It's just being Black, you know. So that's my answer. Yeah.
All right. All right. Okay, Annie, in your opinion, what defines a Black person?
I'd say the same as hers, Micayla's, really
So
leaning towards hers.
If one of your parents is Black.
Sure, yeah.
All right. All right. All right. Thabo, in your opinion, what defines a Black person?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I was gonna say, for me, I agree. I think it's at least one of your parents has to be Black.
Okay. Okay. One of your parents has to be Black. That is what you guys
Has to be Black.
Chad, what about you? In your opinion, what defines a Black person?
Yeah, I would agree as well. I think it's obviously not as easy if, like, how can I say now? Obviously you'll have like maybe your grandparents are Black, and then obviously for me that still means like you are Black because you still have that connection and that like lineage in a sense, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's a lot more complicated, but I agree with basically what's been said. Yeah.
All right. Rea, in your opinion, what is a Black person?
I agree with what all of them said, but more especially with Micayla, because she mentioned that there's a very thin line. What I do know is that does everyone else hear that?
Yes, we do hear that, but we don't know.
Okay, anyway.
Someone keeps coming in and doing weird things. Okay, carry on talking, Rea.
Okay, so when Micayla said that there's a very thin line, historically speaking, like in the US, I know that there were a few rules that would determine whether or not you'd be Black. Like I know there was a paper rule where if you resembled the skin tone of a paper bag, then you would be Black, and then people would let you in to like or more rather, people wouldn't let you use the same facilities as like people that look lighter than paper bag. I know that there was a pencil rule where if they stuck a pencil in your hair, and if the pencil held in your hair compared to like you know, white hair where like it will like fall off, you know,
Yeah.
then you would be considered black. And then I know there was at some point there was a 1-drop rule where there were a few states in the US where they said if you had at least 1 drop of blackness, whether that be like 1/3 or like 1/16 black, if your great 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 grandmother was black, then you're considered black. So the definition of black people really, what defines a black person really depends on a lot of people. Even like legally speaking in different countries, it really depends. Like here in South Africa, if like there would be a difference between being mixed race and being like fully black, but it would be different in like other countries. But I really agree with what everybody said. At least one of your parents has to be black, in order for you to identify as black.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that, Ria. Our next question is, what is reverse racism? And Chad, can you answer that for us?
So basically, reverse racism is the idea that Black people can be racist towards white people. I don't know, I can't put it into like exact words for better definition, but that's like the general idea of like, yeah, it doesn't matter like what your skin tone is. If you now have like the power, for example, people have this concept that you can be racist regardless of your past, like what happened in the past.
Yeah.
So now the racism is now reversed in a sense.
All right. All right. And Milani, in your opinion, what is reverse racism?
Basically, reverse racism is to a certain extent a social construct that, well, given that people seem to think that only white people can be racist, I suppose when the oppressed issues a form of racism, then it's identified as reverse racism in simplistic terms.
Okay, okay. Ria, Thabo, in your opinion, what is reverse racism?
I don't think reverse racism exists. Can you guys hear me? Just to
We
make
can
sure.
hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
I don't think reverse racism exists because, like I said, from my definition, racism has to have some form of power,
All right.
and no group of Black people have had a large amount of power where they will set in place for them to win and then for another group to lose. That has never happened ever. So that's why I don't believe Black people have ever shown reverse racism or been racist. I believe Black people can discriminate towards other people, be prejudiced towards other people, but I don't believe reverse racism has happened.
All right.
Or reverse racism exists.
Oh, okay, Thabo. Ria, in your opinion, what is reverse racism?
I fully agree with Thabo, but I feel like if reverse racism had to have would have been a thing, would be a thing, it would be where the minority has more power. I mean, even though like regardless of quantity, where the people have like minority of the power, even though they might be majority of a population, where they would have a lot of power to topple over the majority of the people who have power, regardless of whether or not in quantity they are a minority or not. So I fully agree with Thabo. A lot of things have to be considered to be categorized as racism. But like Thabo said, in history, there's never been like where people of color have like, or Black people have like overthrown like, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ria. In your opinion, Micayla, what is reverse racism?
Okay, so I think that reverse racism is basically when like there are color conscious programs did a lot of reading up about this yesterday. It's about like color conscious programs that are trying to rectify things that were done like during segregation and apartheid and stuff. And then obviously white people thinking that the color conscious programs are set out to attack them and thinking obviously that, okay, this is reverse racism now because they're trying to make life better for people of color, which is obviously nonsense. But that is, we're not at the next question. So just the definition, I think that's what it is. It's when the color conscious programs are put out and people think that it's like an attack on white people.
All right. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next question. It is, do you believe in reverse racism? So a lot of you have already stated that you don't, but Chad, you didn't. Do you believe in reverse racism? Do you think it exists?
No, I don't believe in reverse racism. I think it's just a case of something it's racist or it's not racist. There's no such thing as reverse racism. I think it's not like it's not you can't say like Micayla was saying now, these things that are trying to correct past systematic racism is now reverse racism, because reverse racism just doesn't exist. It's just racist or it's not racist or it's discriminatory or whatever. But no, I don't believe in reverse racism.
All right. Moving on to the next